What's good, Ravens fans? It's your boy JG, and we are back. The new season is coming up. We are super duper excited for this. So, we're going to break out our first edition of the Baltimore Ravens Power Ranking Tiers. So, I'm going to tell you guys this is inspired by one of my favorite sports shows on the air right now, First Things First. And I want to talk to you guys about who I think are the best Baltimore Ravens players. Now, we're going to start with offense, and it's going to be split on two things, right? And this is going to change as the season progresses, and we'll do it every week. First, it's going to be about the actual talent, of course, right? So just quick example, we know how talented Patrick Ricard is. So he has to make the list. Now, it's also based on your ability to help the team win, which would, of course, put Patrick Ricard a little lower. So it may not be a chance that he could be number one. Now, again, the list is fluid. There might be some special occasion where he gets 3 touchdowns, and I'll just knock him up, to the second row because I think it's that important to give him his praise. So we're going to get into it with the very first level. Now, again, this will change week to week. People will move up and down, and I will make sure you guys know. So let's move to the very first level of the tiers. Now, this is not in any order, but I am going to try to be consistent in if it's going to be not in any order forever. But as the season goes on, if I think, okay, I need to put Patrick Ricard at the beginning because I think he's played better than these other people, I'll let you guys know. So first, of course, is Patrick Ricard. Again, this will change, but Patrick Ricard is the best fullback in the National Football League. And though Todd Monken's scheme doesn't use him as much, I still think that he is an important piece of the team, and hopefully we use him as we should this season, which is more of that fullback role that can split out as a blocking tight end, but I really want to see us kind of get back to that blocking game since we have a player who's higher on this list that's been added to the team. Number 2, we got Mitchell here, the fastest running back on our team, and we really fell in love with him last season. His speed is a good combination with another player on this list, and so I think that I had to put him here above some of these other players. Falele, I think he'll get some more run this season. Again, training camp has to happen, the preseason has to happen, but with the departure from the offensive line, he will become very important. The right tackle is an important position for the Baltimore Ravens simply because of how elusive Lamar Jackson is. And it's important to hold that edge because you never know when Lamar is trying to get around it. Nelson Agholor, in my opinion, he had the second best relationship with Lamar Jackson. This is how he made the list. And so last, we're going to finish out with Hill. Justice Hill is a perfect running back for the Todd Monken scheme. He showed last season he can catch the ball at the backfield. He can do a lot of different things. Though he's not as talented and as high end as Mitchell, and I even didn't think he's as talented as Gus Edwards, but it was plain to me that the offensive coordinator liked Hill more than he liked Edwards, which is how he made his way on this list. So again, this is the bottom level. We're going to go up one more level. And again, this may change as the season goes on. We're going to start with Rashad Bateman, number 2 receiver, signed a contract, has the potential to really take this offense to another level. We know what Zay Flowers is. We know how good he is. However, if Bateman can actually rise up, because last year I don't think he was a number 2 receiver as compared to the other number 2 receivers in the league. If he can become that, and if there's any chance that he becomes a 1.5 receiver, this takes our offense to a whole different level. And I'm really excited to see what he can do. Likely's in a weird position, right? Likely is behind Mark Andrews, and I think he's slightly worse than Mark Andrews. But Likely's a starting receiver on 90% of teams in the NFL. When I say starting receiver, I mean starting tight end. 90% of teams in the NFL, he's a starting tight end. He should be higher on this list, and he would be if Mark Andrews was not on this list as well. Pat McCarry, I love him. I love Pat McCarry. I think he is so talented. I really do think that he needs to get some burn this year, and not as that backup hybrid player. Put him in a lineup. Let him start. I think his ability to learn things quickly, I think his ability to be impactful at every different position would increase 100-fold if he got to actually sit in and grind one position and become great at it. So that's how he made this list. And then Ben Cleveland, gotta have that performance from him. We have to become a great offensive line again. We were really good at the end of last year, but injuries kind of hurt us in some places. I think if we can get some consistency from Ben, it will be great for our offensive line. Now we're starting to get into some of the players that we would consider top of the line players, right? Now, Ronnie Stanley is massively important as how he made his way to the third tier. I don't think he performed better than Makari did last year. I don't think he performed better than Mitchell or Ricard or even Bateman for that matter. I really think he's not back all the way last year from the injury, but this is the year he has to be back. We have to see it and we have to get it from him this year. If we don't, that might spell the end of Stanley's time in Baltimore. I really do believe that. He is great when he's healthy. He has to have it this year. We cannot do the subbing in and out type thing we did last year. He has to be consistent. He's the left tackle of an NFL team. He has to be great. Mark Andrews, we know injuries really hurt him last year. He literally missed half the season. He is great. There's nothing else to say. He will rise up this list if he performs like he's performed in the past, but the injury, I have him on the third tier. Linderbaum, I think Linderbaum should be higher, but a center, in my opinion, is just less important than a left tackle. However, with his performance, if he becomes the best center in the league, he will move up a couple of tiers on this list, in my opinion. So now we're going to go to the second tier, right? These are the three most important players on our team coming into the season. Derrick Henry is the second most important player. Why? Because Derrick Henry is the key to what John Harbaugh wants. And it's the key to what Eric DeCosta wants, right? I honestly do feel that the Ravens signed Derrick Henry because we were trying to get Todd Monken and a little bit of John Harbaugh to understand, hey, we have strength as a running team. And Derrick Henry is the piece that if we really run through him, Lamar Jackson, and then go over the top with Zay, get some of those quick routes with Bateman, we can be great. We really can be a great team that keeps everyone off balance. So I think he's the second most important player, and we know how good he is. Zay Flowers, last season was the second best player on our offense. Of course, we know who the first best player was because he's the first best player on the offense this year. So Zay Flowers, if he can take a step and become one of the top 5 receivers in the league, that would be super impressive. He doesn't really have the build of the other top receivers that we see, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, of course, Justin Jefferson. But he does have the ability, the wiggle to be great and be a top 5 on the bottom end of that. Now, again, do I think he'll be the best receiver in the league? I just don't think he's better than Tyreek Hill or those kind of players. But he can be a top 5 receiver, which would make him the second best player on this team. And I really do think that he can do that, and which is why he is on the second tier of our power rankings. Number 1, of course, is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is the best player on this team overall. I think he's the second best quarterback in the league. I think that he, honestly, if he had some help from his receivers last year, we would be in the Super Bowl and have a chance to win it, right? We know that Zay Flowers made some rookie mistakes in that Super Bowl. We know that Lamar Jackson had to kind of force some things at the end of that game, right? I do still think Lamar Jackson is the second best quarterback in the league. I think that he has a chance to prove it if he has grown. And we know one thing about Lamar Jackson, his growth year to year to year is some of the best we've seen in the National Football League ever. All right? What you saw his first season to what you saw last season is remarkable. It is just remarkable, and this is why I have him at the top. So you guys let me know if you agree with this list in the comments below. I really do want to know. Get a look at it. Again, who would you move up? Who would you move down? Please let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you. Go Ravens.